Hey guys, XJ9 here, and today is going to be a video about the Necromancy combat changes and beta update. First we're going to talk about the Necromancy, then the beta. So, pretty much, everyone's liking Necromancy, but it's very clear that it's very overpowered at the pretty much all levels of play. Honestly, it's way too strong. So we're gonna go right into this. So, if we talk about, ignore this. Uh, One thing they are doing though is adding a summon all, where you summon all three of the summons at once, and it requires two ectoplasm for each summon, so six total for now until they make the fourth summon. So that's like a time save slash DPS increase because obviously you don't have to do three abilities. So I'll summon all three. It's just one ability, so you save two abilities right now. Um, what's up? We don't care about that. Okay, so this is the necromancy part. So we're talking about the necromancy first. Is the damage range of the conjurer's skeleton? The skeleton itself. It it used to deal 27 to 33% damage. Not ability power, ability damage. Now it's 22 to 28. How much that is? I mean, it's right there, but that's pretty substantial. I would say, especially as the attack super fast. Additional damage has been changed to a damage increase. I'm not sure why additional. I don't know. I kind of wish they explained why they changed it from additional damage to a damage increase. Um, Maybe it's so that it's not as gutted when you combine it with like vulnerability and the ghost. Probably, yeah. So it's not as big of a nerf as you would think. So it used to get for each race attack would do 1% more ability damage, and now it's increases damage by 3%. So I don't know if that's actually to be honest, I don't really know if this is so if it means that the additional damage wasn't amped or not. I don't really know, but overall this was a nerf. So damage reduced, good. Okay, putrid zombie, adrenaline cost removed. That's fine because they're rebalancing it. Plus, I don't like the adrenaline cost on any of the summons because it encourages the use of a dummy and dismissing it, which I never did, by the way. I consider that a bug abuse, and because I don't think dummies should even be allowed in the game. I actually think dummies should just be removed from the game. But yeah, adrenaline cost removed, base duration reduced to 42 seconds. It's minus 3 seconds. Probably because it lasted longer than all the other summons. Maybe I don't really know. I guess this does make it the same as it dies same time as skeleton probably. Movement speed increase from walking and running. That's already a big quality of life increase slash damage increase on bosses where you need to switch targets, like maybe Solak Roots, maybe doing Zamrak, maybe. Yeah, with like the runes. The zombie's passive poison damage has had its damage range reduced from 27 to 33% to 8 to 12%. This is a pretty substantial nerf, but let's continue. Passive proc interval increased from 1.8 to 3 seconds, so it'll proc every 3 seconds of its poison cloud from 1.8. Um, Bug fix passive damage for no longer attempt to apply poison while wearing cinder gloves. So I think with Cinderbane gloves, it was actually the poison that it was dealing was counted as Cinderbane. I'm not quite sure. Passive damage but no longer attempt to apply poison. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be just be poison damage. I don't think it's supposed to work with Cinderbane gloves. So it doesn't work with Cinderbane gloves. The damage was reduced, and the proc rate was so it's still very good on mostly again poisonable targets. It still does 1k autos. The auto attack damage was a nerf, so it's still to have night in your uh you know you just summon it for the sake of summoning just for extra damage even on unpoisonable bosses. Uh, it's not that big of a nerf considering a lot of his strength was because of Cinderbanes, because of the Conjure Spirit, yeah, so what do you call it? Yeah, the ability of the Vengeful Ghost was really strong and essentially doubling damage. Like, if the poison dealt 800 damage, it's going to deal 1600. So, it's still very strong, and it was just doing too much damage passively on any boss that was poisonable. So it is still good, and that's the thing that people need to get. It's still good. It's just not overpowered good, and and also leaves room for new codexes or something. Command putrid zombie. So when it explodes, it can now be cast without a target. I agree with that. Although to be honest, I guess you have to pay attention to where he is. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's fine. Because I think I've tried to do this sometimes and it doesn't work, so it's kind of sad. Vengeful Ghost is free now. Heal was reduced to 125%, was 175%. So instead of seeing like 1k heals, you're gonna see, I don't know. How much would you even see? Like 700 maybe. But now it says healing now happens on hit as opposed to on attack, which means that the healing value will scale up based on damage modifiers. Example, I guess, if the target is inflicted with debuffs such as haunted or vulnerability. So if you have haunted and vulnerability on, well, especially vulnerability. Well, it still does the same damage, so the damage it deals isn't nerfed. It's just the healing that was nerfed. And if you apply vulnerability, you'll get quite a bit more of that healing. So it's more like if you, as long as the target's vulnerable, it's like this nerf is essentially your heal's gonna be like 135% about, or even maybe even close to 140% with haunt. Maybe it'd be kind of close. So it's still very strong. Just got tuned down. Uh, Command Vengeful Ghost ability. Adrenaline costs removed. Command has a fixed 3-second duration will not require recasting upkeep. Changing the effect from 1% of the base damage up to a cap of 35% ability damage to 10% of base damage up to a cap of 20% ability damage as bonus damage. So this was this was probably the most broken thing in Necromancy, especially when it comes to single target, because all these nerfs are about single target DPS. So if I dealt a 1000, the attack would essentially, I believe, with a full tier 95 power armor, it's about like 865 bonus damage. So let's say I deal 1,000 damage, even poison damage. 1,000 poison, it goes up 1,865. That's pretty busted. Skeleton does 1,000 damage, every hit 865 added to it. It's insane. So now it's 10%. So now it's gonna be 10% of base damage, up to a cap of 20% ability damage. So the skeleton, he hits a 1,000. It gets increased up to 1,100 now, which is way more in line compared to like that. It was the thing that is so broken about this, is that the wiki even has all the things. Reflect was double damage, poison was double damage, any hit was the greater ricochet was double damage. It was pretty crazy. 20% ability damage as bonus damage. So this nerf by about 20%. So it's about like 400. I don't know, probably around 400, 460 ability damage extra max. So if I deal a if I deal a 1,000, it's an extra 100 damage. If I deal a 5,000, it's yeah. If you deal like above pretty much 5,000 damage, you're gonna deal the extra like 465 damage. So volley of soul strike is still gonna do a lot of damage. That's like the cap, but yeah, it was reduced overall. I think let me continue on because I want to talk about all these abilities combined, because when you nitpick and like look at these individually, you're going like, oh, but like Necromancy is so strong even with all these nerfs. So first off, life transfer incantation. The duration was increased by 0.6 seconds. Why? I don't know. Change the maximum life points value. No, they changed it so it says your maximum life points. From maximum life points to base life points. So your base life points is 900. Wait, what? Because does it include? It's base life points. I don't think it includes the bonuses. I think it's just 99 Constitution, right? Yeah. Um. Yeah. So it's just based off your Constitution level, not bonfire boost or Uglog or tank armor. Because before you were punished for wearing tank armor, because then this would do so much damage to you. So it's almost like, what was the point of wearing the tank armor in a way? So this is very nice, especially so when you have Reaper Crew, Uglog, and your bonfire boost, this won't be dealing much damage to you. I like this change. This change, in my opinion, is very good. Just because this is like, it's still a risky ability to use, but like you have your Hellhound, not really. But like, I like that. I don't like that I was punished for having a higher HP, and like, it also means if you vitality pot, into life transfer, you'll actually take half damage. So that was important because I remember on release, I was trying. I was vitality potting into life transfer, and that doesn't do anything. It's the stupidest thing in the world. But now vitality pot into like as a defensive because it's essentially like take 50% less damage. You can do life transfer for a cheaper just a cheaper cost. So even if you're not doing a boss where you need a vitality potion, you can vitality potion, life transfer, take half damage essentially, which is really good. So that's also something to keep in mind. Evoke death, increased duration from 12 seconds to 12 seconds was 6 seconds. So um, this is they say it's just to make it so it's not so time sensitive / clunky. I think overall that's fine because it's kind of annoying when you're trying to start with like multiple people. And like this is the only issue in group play, and I don't think group play should be so punishing in terms of coordination when it comes to like why is it like such a tight you know timing. So this is fine. This doesn't affect well not necessarily, but it kind of does affect DPS. But you have more time to apply it, which is very good. So I think that's fine. Um, Necromancy shields would no longer cause conjure spirits to spawn. This is interesting because um, the only real Necromancy shield is the anti-fire shield and the spectral spirit shield. I guess that's more so for the sweat lords that do the spiritual swapping, which I'm personally not a fan of. I don't like spiritual shield swapping as a mechanic. Um, and even in like realistic terms, like Zamorak does heed my call at part 7 because not enough damage or whatever. You can put on the spirit shield and cast barricade instead of immortality. So that's I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see how this play out. I think it makes sense because shields were kind of dead content. Now it kind of leaves room for like maybe a defender-ish type of thing. I don't know, but I think this is kind of cool. So this is good. I think this is probably good. Necromancy shields are not classified as having underworld connection, which allows them to maintain control spirits, but they cannot be used to control them. Yeah. So I think this would make part 7 Zamorak a lot more easier because instead of immortality, you could probably easily tank it with just having a spectral steel shield on, and then just like barricade, and I think it'd be just fine. Resolve some issues related to Deathmark. Apparently there's a bug where whatchamacallit, if it procs multiple times on Solak, you would get multiple loot. I'm not sure if that's true, but it's something I read. And if that was the case, that's kind of bad. That's really bad. But fix an issue that causes it to trigger multiple times. Yep, that's the bug I'm talking about. And slash, that's also audio bug. Fiction, I kind of liked it though, but I think it was actually causing issues where like it was thinking the boss died multiple times at certain bosses. Um, fix an issue where the damage from the mark was delayed. I see this at Zamorak all the time. Zamorak will like so he'll be 30k. He gets below 30k. Here he does his 5th hit. I do another hit. Like, why is he not dying? It's weird. So I definitely think that's a bug. I think it may even be at certain mechanics / bosses. I'm not sure, but I have noticed that fixture issue which allowed death marks instant kill damage to reflect on the player. I've never seen that. I'm not sure what boss reflects. Maybe I guess Virago, and maybe next or something. I don't know. But overall, like for like for example, my Hydrix Dragon Guide, all these abilities are not important. Like none of them are important at all. Like the Vengeful Spirit isn't important. If anything, the Vengeful Spirit is actually bad because the dragon you're attacking takes more damage, and usually the dragon you're attacking is the one in the center, and you don't want that one to die. Otherwise, you can't hit all the dragons. So you can Necromancy is still insane Slayer experience an hour because all you do is have 5-stack volley already, or because you're waiting for your Threads of Fate. Invoke Death, Threads of Fate, volley, sap, volley, everything's dead. So Slayer is still insane XP hour. I might make a guide for Greater Demons because Greater Demons are insane. Creatures of the Lost Grove are insane. Like all these Slayer tasks are insane Slayer experience hour because they did not nerf Threads of Fate. They did not nerf Volley of Souls. They did not nerf Tier 95 special. They did not nerf Tier 90 special. All these things are nerfed and they're insane AoE damage. And all this was mostly targeting was single target damage. Like the skeleton, you don't really use the skeleton or even the command in Slayer at all. It's literally just single. This is all for single target and single target nerfs. So I personally think Necromancy is still going to be a little bit too strong. Because I'm surprised they didn't like nerf the base damage of basic abilities by like 5 or 10%, like something like that, or death scrolls by 5%, maybe a tier 90, tier 95, like something small, like a little bit, because the damage range is so close. It's like 170% ability damage to 220%. Like, can we just tone it down to a 160 to 210? Like we can still keep it consistent, but I still think it's going to be a little bit strong, especially with the fact that you can summon all the spirits at once and they're all free. This saves time, and also it buffs combat for people who weren't abusing the dummy and dismiss trick. Right? I honestly I never did that in my testing, and so people say, "Oh, it's a nerf because you should be doing that." Well, I honestly don't think that was intended at all. So for the average high level PVMer or medium or low level PVMer, all these changers are actually a buff simply because all the summons are free. It's not confusing like, oh my god, wait, do I do Living Death right now, or do I conjure my spirit and then juice them up for all my adrenaline, then I have to build back up? It's just kind of miserable. Like it feels like an absolute miserable experience when you have to do that. So now it's gonna feel more smooth, honestly, for high end and low end players. People who say otherwise, they're lying. And the Conjure Spirit is so strong, and I like that it's like, okay, Zamorak, we're charging the pad, command Vengeful Spirit, attack. Okay, we're starting Zamorak Part 7, Demon's dead. Okay, so we're gonna start doing the runes, so command Vengeful Ghost, attack. Like I like that there's a little bit more thinking instead of just like, oh, autopilot. Like we need more thinking in the game, and like it's still super easy and strong. Like Zamorak Part 7, all you do is tier 95, tier 97 spec, and they're all dead. Like they didn't nerf it. They didn't nerf so many other strong things in Necromancy. They literally just nerfed the single target. But so like like I'm just telling you, when this gets launched on Monday, it's still going to be an insanely strong style. It's just not going to be absolutely smashing everything and buffing other styles in team play so much. So, and I just feel like for the average gamer, like look at me do Zamorak. I actually think I'm going to be able to do Zamorak kills faster because of this. I'm not joking. Because you can summon all spirits at once, juice them up for cheaper, less damage taken, and I don't know. That's really it. Like I just feel like it's gonna be so much smoother and faster. Like in between going in the portal and going out of the Infernus, and part 7 rotation. It's now gonna be invoke death, walk a bit, select demon with target cycle, summon all spirits. Um, if the demon's like high in rage, aka like say you're doing 2K plus, in your solo for some reason, you would probably just honestly probably just death skulls and honestly, yeah, death skull to go and death skulls, command vengeful ghost, command skeleton, it's dead, and then you'd probably just during that you sap. It might have just you might even need a command the ghost and skeleton at that point. Just sap, build up your volley of soul stacks, living death. When Zamorak then does like the whole thing, you probably just want maybe you just finger of death the runes and tier 95 special it, and then just like auto. Like I feel like the combinations and the possibilities of necromancy when you're not using that dummy abuse thing, and even if you did do dummy abuse, the fact that you can summon all the spirits at once, I think opens the possibility for some interesting rotations. Like I'm going to be able to use Living Death more and Stringer Death because I'll be honest, it's kind of weird that as Zamorak and a lot of bosses, you're not even really using Finger of Death that much. It's mostly just spam basics and Volley of Souls, tier 98, tier 95. Like I'm not really using Finger Death, so I like that it's encouraging the more use of Living Death into Finger Death and not just spam basics because everything does a billion damage because Conjure Spirit. So I mean I can go on about it, but these are very good changes in the right direction. I just think you might need to tone down the damage of some things by a little bit. Like I'm not talking say like 20%, like 5-10% on basic damage and some of the specials. That's all I think there probably needs to be. Um, and besides that, let's talk about the combat beta. So, whatchamacallit? So, removal of hit chance and instead a damage scaler. So if you have 50% hit chance, you do 50% less damage. So this is very good. It should have happened years ago. They even said it's easy, so why didn't this happen years ago? Because I literally see people on Reddit and on YouTube. And they literally said, I played RS3, but I can't get into PVM because I don't have gear, and I splash too much. And by an old school RuneScape, you can bring a Dragon Scimitar and a Defender and hit any boss, even high-end bosses, and people take you because they don't care, and they're nice, right? And in the problem with RuneScape is that you can have a tier 80 weapon like Chaotix or something, or Drygors even, but like if you don't have overloads, if you don't have tier 98 prayer, you just splash like crazy. It's like even if the guy has 70% hit chance, if he was doing 70% of the damage, he can still contribute. And this being delayed for 7 years honestly really hurt RuneScape 3. They don't. I don't think they even realize it. I'm not sure if they ever will. But this being delayed this long when this was high, I even requested this. I requested this change years ago. Other players did, and it was mostly because of Telos because he was such a splash heavy boss. There was like, it's a lot of work. They said some BS honestly, and it's just kind of sad because this should have happened so long ago. So it's kind of bittersweet. It's like it's really good, but like if it's so easy, why didn't you just do it years ago? Um, because it's like the players that could have joined RS3, like that guy that I told you I read the comment about. He went to old school RuneScape too late. Increase the damage cap is increased from on all combat styles. This increased from 10,000 to 12,000 to 30,000. Um, so continuing, each style will have a percent chance of critical strike, and when you critically strike, your damage increased by your critical strike damage percentage, which increases with level. It's just like Necromancy. I think Necromancy is a flat 10% crit chance, and the critical strike damage scales with level. So all styles are gonna have this the 10% crit chance from the get go, which is good. Um, because I think it's kind of sad that like things like Tsunami exist at low level, but Tsunami honestly sucks at low levels unless you have Biting, unless you have Calgren Demon, unless you have Grimoire, unless you have Greater Kong. Like it's kind of sad that like we have so much interesting abilities where it's like, oh, if you crit, you do this, but it's like you don't really crit at all on a low level until you have all this other stuff. So I think this will help low levels like learn the combat system with other styles. So this is good as well. Um, but critical strike chance, yep, 10% for all styles. This could change based on feedback. This is because Jax Ryan said something on the RS Guys YouTube video, weird source, that maybe range will have 100% crit chance or something, or the possibility to have 100%. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Because like you would have to rebalance everything because all of a sudden you're gonna have dark bow spam like if you're gonna do stuff like that you need to like because like if range has 100% hit crit chance you're literally gonna see dark bow dark bow greater ricochet dark bow dark bow. That's all you're gonna see. Like it's gonna be imbalanced. So unless you like reduce dark bow's damage, put cooldowns on things like dark bow and bow last guardian even. Although I will say I like spamming the bow last guardian spec. It's actually really fun because it reminds me of the guardian Gothic staff and it's Gothic's bow essentially. Critical strike damage, same formula as Necromancy for all styles. However, this could change based on feedback. Example: melee could have 100% critical strike damage. Melee uses strength stats for this. Yep. So Ryan and Sponge are also working on the next iteration of changes as part of the rebalance, and they will think he's ready for beta launch, but will more likely be in the later iteration of the beta. Not sure what exactly that is. It's probably to do with see how do people think about range having 100% crit chance or something. You know, I'm not sure. But so overall, I think styles having a flat. I think the crit chance change is good on all styles because 8% crit chance for Necromancy from Biting 4. I think it's like 6 or like 5.6%. It is an 8% crit chance. You know what I mean? So like they essentially gave the player up front more crit, but the crit chance you gain has diminishing returns, which is good because it still gives. It's still good to get Biting 4. It's just not that whole 8%. Like you need Biting 4, you can't crit at all in this game. So I think the crit chance is good. I also think the percentage of your hit chance, like so 50% hit chance, 50% damage is good. I'm honestly just very worried about this. This is the biggest worry I have, and in combination with crit damage, and it it depends because right now if you crit, I believe it does 95 to 100% of your ability damage. So you know, Wild Magic has a damage range of like I don't know, I think it's like 80 to 220 or something like that. So let's say in the combat beta you have 60% crit damage. You might crit, but you might only crit the 80% ability damage Wild Magic, which would really be kind of shitty. It'd only be like a 5k wild magic. But if if you crit in live game right now, it would be that 9k plus wild magic if you're like fully juiced and stuff. So because other styles have such high damage ranges, like magic is probably the biggest damage range style there is. You have to really again it's just the goal shouldn't be pretty much all I'm trying to say is the goal shouldn't be power creep. The goal should be maintain relatively the same damage that all the styles currently still do, but I guess we want to make crits feel better or something. Although I would say they still do feel good, especially for those abilities that have low damage ranges. So, like an ability like smoke tendrils, does 4 or 5k damage, but now you're gonna see it do 8k, 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 and you're gonna take more damage, I guess, but you're also gonna deal a lot more damage. So, that's strictly a buff. Like if they just shipped this live right now, like they just gave crit damage and cap, and it would all these styles would be just as strong as pre-nerf necromancy. So it's not a given that this is even going to happen. I know this is 100% going to happen, but I really hope they don't just push this like EOC, like rush it, because even if the beta happens, let's say it was poorly received and it's just too imbalanced, it's like, bro, don't. I just don't think it's something that the game needs. Like, it's not something that's gonna be like, this is gonna revitalize the game. I think there's so many other things to do, and I can give examples if you ask, of things that can help improve RuneScape, and I don't think this does. I really don't think it does. I think specials like the Sword of Ling special and stuff, and like are cool because they increase the hit chance, and like, do you need to be able to do that much damage? This only makes sense, and if two things, either one, you nerf the damage of a lot of things slash put cooldowns on things, or two, you buff like pretty much every single boss in the game in HP and just rebalance them completely. But then it's like you're just putting a lot of work for the sake of what? So yeah, that's what I gotta think about that. So pretty much necromancy changes are good. I still think it needs a nerf. Hit chance is good. Removal of hit chance and just having it be an accuracy, like how much damage you deal, is good. Crit chance is good, but yeah, crit damage and the cap, I'm very worried about. I just hope they don't fuck it up, because if they, I have a nightmare where they're just gonna be like, you know what, we just did this. The Jax Ryan guy even said it's gonna be imbalanced. Watching them be like, you know what, we're just shipping it. Jax is that. I'm not joking. They're that crazy. They would just say we're just shipping it, because I hope they just don't listen to players who go, this is great because it allows me to do X. AK, this is great because it does so much damage that it kills everything instantly. Ship it. Like, you don't listen to players like that. Okay? You don't. That's why Necromancy was in such a bad state for 2 months, honestly, because they were so conflicted, honestly. Like, I believe the Saren Gabo spec can, if this change was to happen, it could easily do like 20k or 30ks multiple times and just like one shot Zamrak at part 7. Like, is that something the game needs? Unless you were to buff the bosses, like, so we'll see. We'll see. That's all I can say. Bye.